Hi friends, it's Sajid, and today I'm going to be doing the Bookish Bookin book tag. My good friend Julia Sapphire tagged me to do this, which was created by Bekah Awesome Booknut, and I will have both of their channels linked down below. Hate, I think, is a very strong word, but if there is a book that was rather well liked that I personally did not, it would have to be Mosquito Land by David Arnold. Basically, I talked about this book too much on my channel already, so I will have my review for it linked down below if you would like to know why I didn't like it. I didn't have an answer for this until last week when I read Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Long story short, I don't really feel guilty for having read this book, but you know, if the shoe fits. It's a really angsty contemporary romance story that didn't have to be as complicated as it was, but at the same time I thought it was brilliant because it did everything that it intended to do for the reader, and based on my personal reading experience, the inability to do so is something that I've noticed in a lot of books of its kind. So this one gets an A+. Now, I did not spoil Allegiant by Veronica Roth, but I did support my friend whilst he did so. This is actually a really funny story. So basically, both of us were spoiled for this book, and he wanted to make sure that everyone else was spoiled because that makes sense. I was here for that at the time. So what he did was he wrote the spoiler on a sticky note and stuck the sticky note in our library's copy of Divergent. So the next unfortunate soul to have read that book would have stumbled across the spoiler for the third book. Yeah, my friend is kind of a horrible person, but you know, good job, Keston. No book has ever really made me cry. The only one that has come close to doing so was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, because have you read this book? Dumpling by Julie Murphy. It's kind of odd because I was really enjoying this book, but the problem was that during the time that I was reading it, I was also going through anxiety, and basically everything was triggering me, even though it didn't have anything that would outwardly trigger someone's anxiety. I had to stop reading it, and I do plan to get back to it sometime during the summer. Hopefully that happens. I haven't read any books due to controversy yet, but I have been thinking about reading a few. I have been kind of curious about reading Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Now, I know that a lot of people have said that this book is ableist, and it's not that I enjoy reading ableist stories at all, but I am sort of curious to read it because I felt like it sparked a type of discussion that I have never seen on the online reviewing community before. At the same time, however, it's not really my cup of tea, those types of books, so if you have read Me Before You, let me know what you think I should do based on your personal thoughts. And I just had to take off my fan because I realized it was on and probably making a lot of noise in the background, so I apologize for that. I live in the Caribbean, shit gets hot. The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. This is probably my favourite book for the year so far, and I think that Catherine M. Valente is brilliant. But at the same time, I wouldn't doubt if she was high whilst writing this book. Come on, Catherine, you can be honest with us. Were you smoking something while you were reading that? And if you were, could you pass some of that shit to our brother in need? The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. The story was actually really good, and it had the potential to be an excellent book, but I felt as though as if the author really tried hard to incorporate mainstream young adult tropes just to make it marketable, but he did not do them properly, and they just couldn't fit into a story like this in my opinion, so that made this book for me really poor and tired as F. I honestly don't have a response for this, which I imagine is a good thing. Again, no response. I just don't feel it necessary to be embarrassed for reading anything that I've read. I have let people embarrass me my entire life, and you know, I just ran out of shits to give. For this one, I'm going to cheat and say diverse books in general. I know that some people might think that that sounds a bit cliche, but honestly, I think it needs to be said over and over again. A lot of us readers, myself included, really need to work harder on expanding our reading horizons and reading outside of the white, cisgendered, heteronormative, able-bodied first world experience. It's going to make your reading life so much more fun and so much more interesting and so much more adventurous. So I think it's an effort that all of us really need to start making. And son, where are you going? I am already dark. This ain't gonna work out. No. This is a difficult question when it comes to book villains. I mean, I could say Levana from the Luna Chronicles, but at the same time, she's kind of fucked up. So I guess I would say just the evil queen character in general, mostly because Regina from Once Upon a Time is my television soulmate. Recently, I actually saw the second Snow White and the Huntsman movie. I didn't watch the first one, but that evil queen though, when she came out of that mirror and that gold shit was like coming off her skin, I was like, yes, hunty queen bae, slay my soul. Yeah, that's on the internet now. Whatever. Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. This is an essay collection, and I don't really read a lot of nonfiction essay collections. This is actually the only one I've ever read, but I loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and I talk about it a bunch on here. And if you haven't read it as yet, please do yourself a favor. I can't pick any specific trope because I feel as though if a trope is number one, done well, or number two, done to be deconstructed, then it can be very enjoyable. Let me give you an example. When I say done well, I mean like the love triangle in The Diviners by Libba Brie. Now this isn't the be-all end-all best possible example of a good love triangle, but I feel as though it was better than most because it wasn't insta-lovey and it really developed throughout this story. And at the same time, Libba Brie used it to kind of show how, you know, we tend to be attracted to more than one person at the same time, and it's human and it comes with a lot of complications, and I feel like that was what she was trying to portray with this love triangle. When I say done to be deconstructed, a good example of that is the manic pixie dream girl trope in Paper Towns by John Green. Now a lot of people actually accuse John Green of using this trope like how it's normally used. He actually used it so that he can dismantle it, and I will link a few videos down below by a few YouTubers who did a really excellent discussion on how he deconstructs this trope. Honestly speaking, when I first discovered BookTube, I really wanted to join. I kinda used to put it off until I read this book, Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed, and I know I mentioned it in my last video when I talked about my 1 year on BookTube. But when I read this book, I figured, you know what, I really need to talk about this book, so let me just start the inevitable and just do a book review for it. So that's it for the questions. I am going to tag Melbourne on my mind, Rebel Reads, Hello Shaha, Dem Books Do, and Rainbow Skychild. Make sure to check out all of these people, as well as Julia Sapphire and Bekah Awesome Booknut, because they all have fantastic channels. Anyways, that's a wrap for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.